Rob, what is our fourth main topic today?
Our fourth main topic comes to us from Benson's brother. Hi, crew. I just saw a Variety article summarizing an interesting interview with Brendan Fraser. Among other things, he was asked about the cancellation of Batgirl and said that his takeaway was to, quote, work with trusted filmmakers. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, or maybe he misspoke, but he seems to be placing the blame for the film's failure cancellation at the feet of the directors. Adil, let me see if I can get this right, Adil Arbi and Bilall Fallah. Do you think this is what he meant?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. And of course, the Batgirl drama has been a pretty big thing going on a lot over the past couple of months. Of course, the Batgirl was canceled. Now, before the Batgirl was canceled, a lot of people in this industry had heard from a lot of studio sources that the movie was not good, that the movie was not turning out well. We had all heard about it. Some things got leaked out, some things didn't, whatever, but we'd all heard the same thing. The movie gets canceled. And then a couple of weeks ago, they held what they called a funeral screening of the movie for a lot of the studio people and people who were involved in the film and never actually got a chance to watch it themselves. And Rob, coming out of that, the basic word coming out of it was, yeah, here's the quote, that was basically an expensive CW show. It was not good. Like the feedback was not good. So this is interesting. Brendan Fraser right now is having his own reconnaissance, like a massive resurgence right now. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. But yeah, he got asked about the cancellation of Batgirl, and his statement was rather surprising. This is what he said. This comes from the folks at Variety. And Brendan Fraser said this: the fans really wanted to see this film made. Leslie Grace is a dynamo. He couldn't speak. I actually watching it. He couldn't say enough about Leslie Grace. Leslie Grace is a dynamo, Fraser said. The movie was shot and conceived for a smaller screen. In this age that we've come out of now, between streaming services versus theatrical release, it would end up being a canary in the coal mine. What did we learn from this? Work with trusted filmmakers like Darren. Now, what does he mean by like Darren? During this interview, he was sitting beside his director in The Whale, Darren Aronofsky. So when asked, what's your takeaway from it? My takeaway is work with trusted filmmakers like Darren. Okay. There are a couple of ways of looking at this. On its surface, this pretty clearly looks like shots fired at the directors of the film. I mean, granted, I don't fault anybody who read that and is running around right now saying this is Brendan Fraser taking a direct shot at the filmmakers, saying these were filmmakers that you couldn't be trusted. And my takeaway, work with trusted filmmakers like Darren Aronofsky. I get that. I do. I would propose that there is also a second way of looking at that. And that is that this interview, the context of this interview was the promotion of The Whale. And he was sitting with his director, Darren Aronofsky, who took a chance on Brendan Fraser to be the lead of this film, and maybe the single guy responsible for this incredible resurgence that Brendan Fraser's having right now. And this was just Brendan finding a way to bring the conversation back to The Whale and back to the people he's working with, and wanted to find an opportunity to heap more praise on Darren Aronofsky. Brendan Fraser being such a nice, positive guy, I tend to look for an interpretation of his words in a nice, positive kind of way. So look, did I look at that statement and instantly think maybe he was taking a shot at the filmmakers? Yeah, maybe. And that could very well be. That could very well be the biggest blow up that he has about this whole thing. This could be the biggest venting he does, is just say, from now on, just work with trusted filmmakers like Darren Aronofsky. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just him trying to play a compliment to Darren Aronofsky. I mean, I don't know, Rob. I certainly don't think it was the best choice of words. Number one, if he was kind of taking a veiled shot at them, why take a veiled shot at them? What are you accomplishing by taking a veiled shot at the directors who just did their best to make a movie? Even if it didn't turn out well, I'm sure they probably put their heart and soul into it and tried to do it well. If he wasn't trying to take a shot at them, he really should have been more aware of the way his words were coming out. I know, Rob, you read this comment. What do you take away from it?
Well, I thought the thing that struck me the most was that he said that this was a film that was conceived for the small screen.
Right.
You know, it was never supposed to be a theatrical feature. And then, of course, they decided to expand it, put more money into it, whatever. And I think, look, these directors, I don't know much about them. They did Bad Boys for Life.
Yeah, they did a good job on Bad Boys. I mean, it's not an Oscar winner, but I like that film.
I like that too, but, you know, that movie was carried a lot by Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. I mean, so their charisma carried that film. I would have been more curious to see a movie that these directors had written and directed. They're not that experienced. They're not seasoned filmmakers. So I don't think that he was necessarily taking a shot at them, but I think what happened was they were hired to do something, which was make an HBO movie of Batgirl. And in its conception, you know, it's the way you approach things when movies are being developed. Like if you know you're making a movie for the big screen, your thought process is different than if it's being made for TV. It's a faster process. You're not thinking in terms of cinematic scope the way you would for, I mean,
no, but remember, they weren't making a TV show.
They
were still making.
No,
a movie.
I understand,
Yeah.
but they were still not working with $100 million budget. Maybe they were. I don't know, but I think that's more along the lines of what he was saying. Like, look, Darren Aronofsky is an experienced feature filmmaker that's been working for 25 years. You know, and that I think that's what he meant. I don't think he was taking a shot at the directors because they probably did do a good job. You know, they probably did do the best job that they could. And then when this thing was now supposed to be theatrical release, it now has to compete with Matt Reeves' The Batman. It was never going to be able to.
Fantastic film.
Unless you're going to unless you're going to shoot a movie that way to begin with, you know, it's a different mindset making movies for broadcast or making movies for theatrical. And I think that's kind of, at least that's what I'd like to believe he was leaning into. Because it's always, look, these poor guys, I feel so bad for these guys because their entire career was derailed by this. I mean, you think they can walk into a meeting and go, hey, we like Bad Boys for Life. Sorry about Batgirl. I mean, how can they walk into a meeting with anyone? I just feel bad for these guys.
But I mean, what I think a lot of average film fans, and you've spoken about this before, I think what a lot of average film fans don't think about, and even a lot of us who work more professionally in, is that, yeah, they had a film canceled, but there's not a filmmaker out there who's been in the business more than 2 or 3 years that hasn't had a project canceled.
That's true.
At different yeah, but I mean, parts of development.
This is so high profile.
It was so high profile.
You know, that's the thing. And I feel bad because, you know, they can't, this is a no-win situation for them. And they never even got to finish it. And so no one could see it and even judge for themselves.
Do you think it rubs even harder that Blue Beetle was made under the same circumstances, but they, instead of canceling it, they promoted it to theatrical?
Yeah.
That probably stings a bit.
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, not only did they work on Bad Boys for Life, which I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I did too.
They were,
I liked
now
it.
on television, it's more the showrunner, yes, but they did a very, very good job directing Ms. Marvel.
Right.
And even though, again, that is a TV show, that was really more responsibility of the showrunner than but still, they did a good job there too.
And I'll tell you something. I think that that's a saving grace for them because Kevin Feige came out immediately in support of them.
Yes.
And I think that they have a future at Marvel. You know, I think Kevin Feige would stand behind those guys and at least let them direct more TV, which is great because then they're going to get more directing behind them.
Yeah, if they make a Ms. Marvel season 2, I guarantee you they'll be the directors.
And look, the Marvel shows are not like regular TV shows; they're much bigger budgeted shows, and so the fact that they're brought back, that's a big vote of confidence. So they're lucky. But man, I know what this must have done to the two of them, and it had to be devastating.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What did you think about the comments from Brendan Fraser saying, my lesson, work with trusted filmmakers like Darren? Was that him taking a shot at the Batgirl directors? Or was it just him trying to take an opportunity to heap some compliments on the director who has given his career resurgence? Maybe it was a little bit of both. I don't know. How do you guys see it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Hey guys, we want to thank one of the sponsors of today's video,
BetterHelp. Let me ask you something. How well would you take care of your car if you knew that was going to be the only car you ever had for your entire life? Well, that's how our brains and our minds work. So why don't we treat them the same way? Because how we take care of our minds will affect how we experience life. So it's important to invest time and care into keeping it healthy. Now, there are plenty of ways to support a healthy brain, like learning a new language or taking power naps, but there's also BetterHelp online therapy. Now, I've talked about this before, but I've never understood this stigma attached to people wanting to seek out ways to improve their mental health. When somebody decides to go to the gym to improve their physical health, we think that's great. Well, that's the same way we need to look at taking care of our mental health as well. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat-only therapy sessions. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you're not comfortable with that. And it's much more affordable than in-person therapy. So guys, listen, right now, the John Campea Show viewers and listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea.